Alright, stove number 2. Just a note on the first stove, the Big Lot stove, it did take a good 5 minutes to cool off after it was done cooking. These stoves, and I've had this problem with my One Egg Wonder before, these stoves are a little on the thick side, and although that bottom radiates the heat across the whole thing, it holds the heat after the fact too, so that may be an issue if you're hiking with a stove like this. No way to set it up afterwards if you don't let it sit on the side and cool off for a good 5 minutes. Although most people like to eat for a good 5 minutes. So, not a big issue. Your stove has to cool down. It may not take a full 5 minutes. It's a new stove. I usually like to start off with a full throttle to get it going. And then I flop that on there. This gets the heat going across the whole thing. I'll do the same as I did on the other stove. Get it nice and heated. And then throw the damper. Throw the damper on there. Whatever you want to call this. Alright, that should be good. Throw that up on there. Come around and drop in some, try not to get too much in the way this time. I don't know how many spoonfuls I did last time, but I know it filled the entire base, so we'll just go until it fills the entire base of this one, since they're the same size stoves. I don't know if I'm getting as much on the spoon or not. Yeah, that was about it. I had to spread it last time, so it's about the same there. We'll let it go. I'm not really timing it, because I'm going by the look of it. So that's more important than the time it takes, how the pancake's actually cooking. And that last one cooked pretty good. I did notice when I bit into it that the center was slightly undercooked. And that may be because I took it out just a little too soon. I noticed that the pancake batter, I guess being banana already has a yellowish look to it, so it looks a little more done than it actually is. So, nonetheless, it tasted delicious with the chocolate in it. It was really good. So we'll let this one go and see how it does. And then we'll do one more on the premise, which I've never used for a pancake cooking stove, but I'll give it a try. Alright, I'm not going to make you sit here and watch this whole thing, so I'll be right back. Alright, we're starting to get a little bit of bubbling going on. Not done yet, obviously, but we're starting to get those bubbles coming through, which is a good sign. It means we're on our way. Probably about 2-3 minutes in. It does take a while to cook on this stove. Of course, we could take that damper off and it'd go a lot faster, but I'm afraid it would burn instead of cook. So, I've cooked on this One Egg Wonder a lot. I am really liking this grip more than this grip. I feel like I'm coming down, and maybe I'm just used to that grip, but I feel like I'm coming down further for this grip. Almost down below the pot. Whereas this one, you're still above the pot when you grip. And I think I mentioned this a minute ago, you could potentially bend this up. I'm not sure if it's a necessity, but for $4 versus nearly $8, I don't know, I could buy 2 of these and play with the grip a little bit. Another thing is, I know that some people like to cook on this on different pots, on different stoves than the squirrel cage. And something you'll want to know about this pot here is if you put it on something that's got a circle base, it's not going to stay. It's just not going to do it. This has to have an outer rim base that is pretty wide. It has to be able to support the back and the front. Because the back, as you can see here, the center of weight on this pot is way up here, So that's where you got to balance it at, is on this back side. I'm not exactly finding the center weight, but it's right in here somewhere. It's right. You can see it's going back and forth. So there's kind of your center of weight running right across here. So if you balance it on the center here with 3 points, it's going to tip over. Because this handle's so long, and I'm not sure how far this metal handle goes back into this plastic. Potentially, I guess you could cut some of it off, but then you also don't have anything to hold on to. So that's just something to keep in mind. But the weight of the back of this handle causes this pot to tip this way if you don't balance it all the way around. Like you see with my hand here. Even with my hand, I can balance it on just the back side. But I couldn't do that same. I know what's going on here. I just noticed. We ran out of fuel. Sorry, I let the thing run out of fuel. That's rare for a Moab to run out of fuel, simply because it holds so much. But it does run out of fuel. So that will slow down our process a little. It won't hurt it any, but it will slow it down. And since we're not timing, it's not a big deal. I'm sorry, I was saying that this is center balance is off. So it's the same on that stove. Center balance is off. That's why these skillets work so well with the squirrel cage stove, because it has the full circle ring around the top of the stove, and that ring is exactly the size of that skillet. Now, I know Tinny makes a couple other cage stoves, a cricket cage, and SC squirrel cage, which I think the SC stands for, SP, Snow Peak squirrel cage? I'm not sure. Something like that. And that stove and the cricket stove may not work as well with this pot. Maybe that's something that, Tinny, if you ever watch these videos, that's something you could test and see how the One Egg Wonder handles on some of your smaller cage stoves versus your squirrel cage. I know that it works wonders with the squirrel cage. It literally is the circumference of this part here. It's the same circumference as a squirrel cage. But on the same respect, that squirrel cage will not fit inside of a Snow Peak 600. So that's why he makes the squirrel cage 600 or something, squirrel SP 600, I don't know, something. Anyways, but he makes a different one to fit inside there. I'd love to see how that fits. I know that I guess I could get a tape measure. The Snow Peak 600 is 3.5 inside diameter. It's actually just a hair less than that, because you cannot fit something that's 3.5 inside. I gotta pay attention here. If I talk too much, I'm gonna burn this thing. Yep, we're popping and staying open just now. So I'm going to go ahead and flip that really quick. Turn that over to send the glare off. See how I flip it here again. I just break the edges. And I'm right up to those rivets, but I'm not over the rivets inside here. So the rivets haven't been a problem as far as sticking, because I'm not near them. But I also don't know if I did get closer to them or over them, if it would be a problem if they'd stick or not. And I've never used any kind of oil with pancakes, because I flipped it too soon. I don't know if you can see that in the video, but I flipped it just a little too soon. I'm going to go ahead and cook this side and then flip it back over, because once you flip it, you got to leave it and let it cook the second side. But yeah, we'll have to flip it back over. Won't make for a great test comparison, but it'll work. I'm going to move this pot out of the way. So anyways, these pots work really well with this squirrel cage. They don't work well with my tripod type stoves, or a lot of my other stoves. For example, I'm going to bring another stove I have in here, and this is the, I believe this is called the Trangia, and it's got this adjustable pot thing. Not really adjustable, but a little bit. And it, it burns. I'm sure many people have seen this. This has got the screw-on lid that I probably put on when it was hot, and now it's pressurized and I can't get it off. Okay, nonetheless, I'll have to get a can opener to get that open. Don't put those lids on when they're still hot, because then you get a vacuum seal, and they're hard to get back off. But you'll see here, without even having it on, it doesn't fit at all on there. It doesn't fit in there. So even if you pinch these in a little bit, which potentially you could, you don't get a good stand. It's too slippery. And if you put it all the way in and had, well, you wouldn't have enough room to balance then, just 2-3 little points. So it's not a good type stove to work with. Now, you do have the option of going with just the stove and cooking on top of that, but then, and I don't think you're in the video enough, I'm going to move it up so you can see it. Then you have the problem with, you've got to balance it off center like this because of the weight of it, you see? If I come back to the center, it just falls off. So I've got to balance it off center for this type of device. And that's because of the handle, having the weight in the handle. Now, in the same retrospect, even this stove has an off center because of this handle here. So it wouldn't work either, because you can see, watch how it goes. You'd have all your pancake down in this corner. So that's why these kind of skillets work well with something like a squirrel cage. Now, you could be one of those guys who sits there and just holds it above the fire, works it like this the whole time, and that would definitely work. But then you gotta have somewhere to set it when you're done cooking, you know, off to the side somewhere. Anyway, that's why these types of skillets work really well with the squirrel cage type stove. There's a couple other stoves that have nice pot stands, like a wire cloth mesh pot stand. Those work really well with these as well. So now I have to decide when to flip this thing again. Let me give it a few more minutes. I flipped it too early the last time. Just let it ride out here for a minute. I'll come back in just a minute. I'm going to shut off the camera.